I don't think anything's broken. In other words, like the models are not broken. Nothing's broken. This is absolutely normal behavior. And, if we ended up this year at 100,000 or 120,000, that's a great year. It's fantastic, and doesn't mean that there's something wrong with the ETFs or anything, we're just right on track. The people who hold on the most will win everything. And the other ones, they won't. They'll lose. It's fine. And that's what separates the new winners of the new economy from those who won't participate. And I think 98% of the people will not participate in this Bitcoin boom. So I think it's going to be a very small amount of people will end up participating in this. And this is a changing of the guard. And then, those people who do will be the new owners.
Krueger opens by addressing the speculation surrounding Bitcoin's potential to reach $1 million valuation. Contrary to popular belief among some Bitcoiners who predict this milestone within the next 2 years, Krueger asserts that such an outcome is unlikely based on statistical patterns. He emphasizes that while rapid price growth is theoretically possible, it would break the models that have so far accurately predicted Bitcoin's long-term behavior. Krueger's stance is that Bitcoin's price trajectory follows a more deliberate and gradual pace than many anticipate. He projects a 10-year timeline for Bitcoin to hit the $1 million mark, grounded in the statistical patterns of previous market cycles. This slower pace does not signal any fundamental problems with Bitcoin or its adoption. Rather, it aligns with the natural ebb and flow of the market. According to Krueger, ending the current year at $100,000 or $120,000 would be a fantastic achievement and fully in line with Bitcoin's long-term trend.
Please take a little time to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on post notifications for more videos like this. You can also check out our other videos on cryptocurrencies and the overall digital asset space and drop your comments and observations in the comments section below. Everything you do helps with the YouTube algorithm and immensely contributes to the channel's growth. Thanks and enjoy the video.
The power law says $1 million Bitcoin, it'll take 10 years to get there, right? Now, and which I believe, right? Now, everybody's like, Fred, we're going to get there in 2 years. And I'm like, no, there's no evidence according to this statistical pattern that we're going to get there in 2 years. Now, could we? I mean, yeah, but it would break all the models, right? So I think there's a certain speed at which these things happen. And it's not as much, it's not quite as fast as, a lot of Bitcoiners would want to believe, right? And, so I'm not saying I don't think anything's broken. In other words, like the models are not broken. Nothing's broken. This is absolutely normal behavior. And, if we ended up this year at 100,000 or 120,000, that's a great year. It's fantastic, and doesn't mean that there's something wrong with the ETFs or anything, we're just right on track. Well, Bitcoin is down 10%. And he goes, most people would view that as a market crash. He goes, for us Bitcoiners, it's a Wednesday. And, I just don't think it matters. I think it's noise. It's complete noise. It doesn't matter whatsoever. You read nothing into it. It doesn't matter. It's zero. This is normal. This is how you get to 150,000. You go there by dropping, and then you consolidate and you do nothing for 2 months, and then all of a sudden it goes up. I mean, that's the way Bitcoin works, right? It absolutely does not steadily go up exactly like you expect it to. And that is absolutely, which is why you cannot trade Bitcoin, right? It's almost impossible to trade because the signal, if anything, is always the reverse, right? So if I had to guess right now, like, what do I think Bitcoin will probably be doing tomorrow? I think it probably will go down. Okay, most probably. Why? Because usually what it does is it kind of meanders down, and then all of a sudden, for reasons that nobody predicts or understands, it goes way up. Okay. That's Bitcoin. Okay. And so if you're following the trend points down, you're saying, okay, got to sell. And then you get out, then all of a sudden it goes way up. And, so I would say, where are we likely to go? Probably down, sideways to down, until we go way up. And the only way you're going to catch that way up move is by being in Bitcoin. So
accumulate
you cannot time it. There's it's an absolute fool's errand to time it. It's just a complete. Anybody who tells you that they think they can time this is completely incorrect.
Yeah.
And so you have to realize that. I think you have to have conviction that this thing is going a lot higher over a fair amount of time. And with that conviction, you just have to, it's a game of how much Bitcoin you can accumulate. That's it. And you just got to think in terms of, I've got X amount of Bitcoin, and I am not going to be worried about whether it goes up or down, because what am I going to do? You could sell it at 61,000. So what? Okay. Then when are you going to buy it? You're going to buy it back at 50,000? Is that your strategy? That's a bad strategy, right? Because it may never get to 50,000. So
Right.
you basically, because of some chart pattern, you're giving up on the best performing asset of all times. Makes no sense. You've just failed at the game of life, right? You just screwed up big time, right? So you can't look at these things and sort of say, I'm going to buy lower. That's a bad idea. Now, if the volatility is just too much for you, well, don't participate. Doesn't matter to me. It's sort of like, this is a game of the people who hold on the most will win everything. And the other ones, they won't. They'll lose. It's fine. And that's what separates the new winners of the new economy from those who won't participate. And I think 98% of the people will not participate in this Bitcoin move. 98. I mean, maybe 2% of the old investor crew are going to participate in this, I think. Because less than 1% of investors own Bitcoin right now. I mean, I guarantee you, you look at the average sort of Swiss investor group, first of all, probably 1 in 100 or has any sizable, maybe some of them own a tiny little bit of Bitcoin. Their son owns some Bitcoin or something like that. But they don't own 1%, 5% of their net worth in Bitcoin. The average, they don't. The average Swiss, investor does not. And so if they don't now, what's going to make them make that decision in the next 2 years? Probably nothing. And they're going to just watch it, and it'll have gone up, and they're going to say, well, I can't possibly buy it now because it's 250,000.
Yeah.
I can't acknowledge the fact that I was made a mistake and didn't buy it back in 2024. So they're not going to participate. So I think it's going to be a very small amount of people will end up participating in this. And this is a changing of the guard. And then, those people who do will be the new owners.
Krueger draws parallels between Bitcoin and other technological breakthroughs, such as artificial intelligence. Just as few could have predicted the rapid development of AI, many people today fail to grasp the full implications of Bitcoin. For Krueger, Bitcoin is much more than a payment mechanism. It represents a complete overhaul of how economic value is created, transferred, and stored. He emphasizes the freedom that Bitcoin offers individuals, particularly in terms of financial sovereignty. With Bitcoin, individuals can move their wealth across borders without interference from governments or institutions. However, Krueger acknowledges that only a small percentage of people currently understand this revolutionary potential, as evidenced by the fact that there are only about 10 million hardware wallets in existence globally.
The idea of Bitcoin is so revolutionary that if you really understand what it means, it really means that we've found a better version of money, right? So
Yeah.
it will change. It's going to change all of human economic activity because we're moving, and people think they call it whatever. It's a property, it's a trade, whatever, but it's money, right? This is going to be, I call it money for the 21st century, right?
Mm-hmm.
And either you get it or you don't. But at the end of the day, it's very clear to me that this paper money system that we've been experimenting with now for 100 years, let's call it, more or less, it's on its last legs. It's not going to survive forever. And if I had to guess, I would say 30 years from now we will be on a Bitcoin standard, and I'm going to be a very old man. You're going to be a middle-aged man with some grandchildren by then. But we are headed into a new world, right? And I think it's one of these things. It's like artificial intelligence. If you told me even 10 years ago that we are going to have artificial intelligence apps that can make a music for anything you want, I would say that's not possible. How can that be possible? Or write poetry, or do marketing, or write code. I would say not in the next 20 years.
Yeah.
Of course, now there it is, right? And I think if Bitcoin is one of these things where if you say all the financial world, banks, fiat, central banks, all the rest are all going to change, and we're going to move to a finite currency, right? Which is completely peer-to-peer and has finality within, say, an hour, anywhere in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I would say most people would say, yeah, no, that's not happening. It's all gonna, we're gonna have to have KYC and this and that. You don't. There is no KYC in Bitcoin, right? It's like I'm sending it to you, you get it, done. And so it's such an amazing. The concept of it is such a game changer, right? If we really move to that world, it's such a game changer, and has so many more impacts. It's not just a payment mechanism. It's not like, well, this is a better payment mechanism. It's not that at all, right? This is a way for economic value to be determined. This is a way for individuals to hold their own money independent of the state, and if you don't like your government, you can move with your Bitcoin.
Yeah.
So it's such a freedom concept that and I would say the number of people who really get it right now is pretty low. Mm-hmm. It's pretty low. I mean, there's, even of all the people who own Bitcoin, there's only 10 million hardware wallets on the planet.
I didn't know
10
that.
million. That's between Trezor and Ledger. For example, that's their total amount, right?
Huh.
So
That's not a lot.
it is not a lot, right? We're talking about a tenth of 1%.
Fred Krueger's perspective on Bitcoin is clear. It's a long-term game that requires patience, conviction, and the ability to ignore short-term noise. He believes Bitcoin will reshape the global financial system, and those who recognize its potential early will reap the rewards. However, only a small fraction of investors will fully participate in this transformation. Krueger's advice is to accumulate Bitcoin steadily, remain invested through volatility, and understand that Bitcoin represents far more than just a financial asset. It's the money of the 21st century.
Please like and subscribe my channel.